Good day. This is Teresa Fredericks from Growing Businesses Using Projects with yet another video, and this time in the area of project management. I'm going to be examining what is a project. At the end of this video, you will be able to say, yes, I do projects. Now, my aim with all these videos is to ensure that whatever is being taught, the ordinary man can be able to understand it and apply it. Today we will be looking at what is work, what is a project and its deliverables, characteristics, requirements and objectives, what is an operation and its characteristics, what are reasons for authorizing projects, what is project management, and what are some of the benefits of doing projects. So let us start with what is work. And work comprises projects and operations. Operations sustain the business, projects bring about change. Organizations perform work to achieve a set of objectives. So what is the definition of a project? It's a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Result could be outcomes or documents. This is Project Management Institute's definition. A project brings about change, and this is one of the significant things I want you to remember about a project. So let's examine products or services or results. Products, items sold to satisfy customer needs, for instance, a car, food, etc. Services, performing business requirements, functions, etc. So that you may outsource some of your services, you may outsource the catering service for your company, you may outsource the maintenance of your equipment and things like that. And results. Results are really documents. For instance, you may want to restructure your organization, so you call a consultant in and they would do some change management plan for you with your help, etc. And you restructure the company. Or for instance, the Trinidad and Tobago government who wants to build a road to Togo. So they did a feasibility study to see is it feasible, what is the best route and things like that. What comes out of these kind of projects and documents? Information, recommendation that informs policy. So you have the studies, reports, or your company is not producing as it should and you say probably something is wrong with our processes. So you get a business analyst to come in and they will review everything and come up with a recommendation. These are the type of results that we're talking about. Let us spend some time looking at project characteristics. We say it's a temporary endeavor. Temporary does not mean short. It means it has an end. Their purpose is to attain the objective and then terminate. So you have to look at what is the purpose for this project. Now, let me give you an example. The Ministry of Education may commission the building of a school. The deliverable of that project is the school, but the ministry's objective is education. Now, to achieve that objective, they may need more than one project. As a matter of fact, they may need to have a portfolio of projects and have programs in it and things like that. Because the school by itself does not bring about education. You have curriculum development, teacher training, equipping of the school and things like that. But you have to keep your eye on, is this project contributing to the achievement of the objective? They create a unique deliverable. Now you may say, for instance, if the Ministry of National Security has one design for police stations and it's rolling them out throughout Trinidad and Tobago, is that unique? Yes. Each police station would have something different. It may be in the topography, it may be in whatever. You're not going to get a rubber stamp. Perhaps in the area of one, there's a water problem, so they have to bring in a whole new water system and they have to do things differently so that there would be different processes. There could even be adjustments in the actual building of the police station in a particular area. If you have, for instance, you have landslide, you're going to have that project might have a retaining wall and things like that. There will be something different in each one. They are progressively elaborated. As more and more information comes in, you have more detailing of the plan. They have risk. you have to determine what are the risks and what am I going to do about it. Are the risks in keeping with my risk tolerance? They facilitate change. We talk about that. They require trade-offs. We in Trinidad, next week is Carnival. If I'm a band leader and I have 2 or 3 sections incomplete, I'm in trouble. One of the things about project management we talk about is things like constraints. You have constraints of time. In this case, they can't change the time. Next week is Carnival. You have constraints of budget. Now, what can he do? He can say, okay, I'm going to impact scope. Scope is what is in the project. In this case, it's going to be one of the things that is going to be the costumes and the headpiece that you're making for your masqueraders. You may say some sections I cannot complete those. Or if I still have to buy material, they may not buy it as the type and quality they bought early because now they are running out of money because they may decide to hire people to try and get more costumes out, which means you're going to be impacting their budget. So they may try to cut back. So that what we're saying is that you have to look, and if they cut back and they buy material that is not as the previous one, you're going to have quality impacted. So you have the triple constraint, which is time, cost, scope, and time, scope, and budget. But you have the quadruple constraint where quality is also impacted. You have other constraints we're going to talk about later on. But it means that project manager also always have to be looking at trade-offs. What are trade-offs can I make? And what trade-offs can I not make? In this case, Carnival and this next week, I can't trade off time. So you have to actually impact scope or impact budget. They have assumptions. If the Trinidad government is trying to come up with revenue figures for next year, they're going to have to determine how much are we going to get from the petroleum industry. They have to make assumptions about price. That does not give them revenue alone. They have to make assumptions about production. They have to make assumptions about sales. Now, the assumptions have to be realistic, so they have to do research. Similarly, in your projects, whatever assumptions you're making, am I going to get skilled laborers? If I'm not, then it is going to impact how much I can do and possibly the timing that I can do it in, because I'm going to have learning curves. I'm going to have workers that are not of the best and things like that. But assumptions have to be realistic. Constraints are imposed. We're going to talk about constraints later on, and their end can result in operations. As an example, operations sustain the business. So I'm running a bakery. Every day I'm doing the same thing. I'm making bread. One day I get up and I say I want to make a bread that fat people can eat and lose weight. Now, this bread hasn't been done before by me. So now I have to do research. I have to pull a team together. I have to do market testing. I have to do product formulation. I have to do packaging, a whole set of things to come up with, a bread that I can turn over to operations. When I'm finished with everything, have everything in place, then I can go to operations and say, every day bake me that bread. So the end is operations. We talk about project characteristics, and one of it is constraints. The budget cost might be a constraint, but funding is possible that they borrowed money and there are conditionalities they have to meet. Quality is a constraint because especially with food and things like that, there are quality requirements. Procedure, now even though they are together, they are different. Procedure, the organization has this project, the organization has ways of doing things, and the project has to comply with internal policies. Risk, we talked about. Scope, I have a whole 2 videos on scope. If you want to know more about scope, you can refer to those videos. Resources, they may not be getting, the project may not be getting the type of resources they need, or if the organization has the resources, they may not be available to the project. The technology may not be at the level that one needed, and time. All of these are constraints. So why do we do projects? We do projects to produce outcomes. We do projects to achieve strategic position. For instance, I want to penetrate a market. I want to expand my market share. Outcome, I want a restructured organization. Purpose, the purpose why I am doing it. For instance, I am making a new beer, but the product is the beer, or the project deliverable is the beer, but my purpose might be market penetration. A result, we talked about results and the type of projects, normally feasibility studies, research type projects and things like that, or processes where you examine an internet processes, a product, a service. What about requirements? When we're looking at projects, because remember the definition from PMI spoke of requirements, that it is to satisfy requirements. You have the business objective. All right, in the Ministry of Education case, the business objective was education, is education. Then you have quality, and quality requirements, sometimes you have to have things like testing and certifications and things like that. Stakeholders, your stakeholders have certain requirements. And I tell people, but government is a stakeholder in every project. And you have to ensure that you comply with their requirements. You have project. The project may have particular requirements. If you're doing a project in a school, you may have to work in the night because the children are there during the day and you have to put things back so that they can continue. You have transition and readiness requirements for when you're changing systems and things like that. And anytime you're talking about those kinds of projects, you should talk about training also and ensure you have not only training but post-project support in place. And you have solutions, functional and non-functional. What do you want this product to do for you, or this what capability should it have? And non-functional, you have to look at some of the things you want in it. If you're building a house, one of the things you want is that it's sturdy, is able to withstand the stress of, especially in the Caribbean, the minor earthquakes which we have. So an operation is different. It's a system which utilizes inputs in a continuous and repetitious manner to produce a consistent output. It's work done to sustain the business. And of course, its objective is to sustain its repetitive, normal work, ongoing and recurrent, permanently assigned staff, standard processes. We authorize projects for several things. We authorize them to resolve a problem. We authorize them to fill an unmet need, to take advantage of an opportunity, to comply with a legal requirement, or to satisfy a customer's need. What they bring about is solutions to our problems. They bring about change, which is what we've been talking about all the time. And the objective is to complete the scope within the constraints, including the budget, in keeping with its schedule and to satisfy its customer and meet the organization's objective. Some types of projects, you have legal projects, you might have to come, but right now we have projects here because we have a new procurement act and we have to comply with it. You could have ecological impacts. A company is trying to authorize a project to lessen its environmental impact. You have social needs. You want to extend the water system throughout Trinidad and Tobago. You want to market demand, organizational need, customer request, technological advance. All of these are what project is. And project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet project requirements. And these are some of the benefits for higher profits, margin, quality, improvement, etc. And I'm sure by now you must be saying with me, yes, I do projects. I have planned the family outing. I have to give them a memorable experience. If you like my content, I want you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you in the next video.